Hidden crisis. Is your faith real? What if the scariest truth about your faith is not that it's weak, but that it might not be real at all? Not fake on purpose, not something you chose to pretend, but something you slowly drifted into, without ever realizing it. Because here's the uncomfortable reality. You can pray, you can go to church, you can read the Bible, and still be completely disconnected from God. From the outside, everything looks right, but inside, something feels off. A quiet tension, a question you try to ignore. Is this real, or am I just going through the motions? And that question, it's one most people never say out loud, because it's terrifying. But here's what makes it even more unsettling. The fact that you're asking it might be the clearest sign that something deeper is happening in your soul. So before we go any further, take a moment and write this in the comments. Lord, strengthen my faith, not for anyone else, not for appearance, but as a quiet, honest surrender. Because sometimes, the most important battles are the ones no one else can see. High voltage number 1. The first sign your faith may be real. The fact that you're questioning your faith may mean it's alive. It sounds backwards, doesn't it? You would expect real faith to feel confident, stable, certain. But the Bible reveals something very different. People with completely dead faith don't ask questions like this. They don't lie awake wondering if they're truly close to God. They don't feel tension about their spiritual life, because deep down, they're not seeking anything. But when someone begins to ask, "Is my faith real?" that question doesn't come from indifference. It comes from a heart that cares, a heart that senses there must be something more. In fact, one of the most honest moments in Scripture comes from a man who said something shocking to Jesus. "I believe, help my unbelief." Two realities in the same sentence. Faith and doubt coexisting in the same heart. And here's what matters. Jesus did not reject him. He didn't say, "Come back when your faith is perfect." No, he responded with compassion. Because real faith is not the absence of struggle. It's the presence of a desire that keeps turning back to God, even when your mind is full of questions. So if you've ever felt that tension, that quiet unease, that longing for something deeper, don't panic. That may not be the death of your faith. It may be the beginning of it. Number 2. The second sign your faith may be real. You feel convicted, even when no one sees it. There are moments when no one is watching. No pressure, no audience, no consequences. And yet, something inside you refuses to stay quiet. A thought, a decision, a small compromise. And suddenly, there's a tension you can't explain. Not fear of being caught, not guilt because someone might judge you, but a deeper discomfort, like your soul is whispering, "This isn't who you're meant to be." And the strange part is, you can ignore it, you can push it down, you can distract yourself, but it doesn't disappear. It lingers, quiet, but persistent. Here's the truth most people misunderstand. That feeling is not your enemy. It's not there to shame you. It's not there to destroy your peace. It's there to wake you up. Because a heart that feels nothing is far more dangerous than a heart that feels conviction. A person with no real connection to God can do wrong and feel absolutely fine. No tension, no inner resistance, just silence. But when your faith is alive, even if it's weak, even if it's struggling, there will be moments when something inside you resists the darkness. Not perfectly, not consistently, but undeniably. And that resistance, it's not coming from your habits. It's not coming from your environment. It's something deeper, something that refuses to let you settle for a version of yourself that's far from God. So if you've ever felt that quiet conviction when no one else knew, don't run from it, lean into it, because that discomfort may be one of the clearest signs that your faith is not dead. Number 3, the third sign your faith may be real. You keep coming back to God even after you fail. There are moments you fall, moments you say things you regret, think things you wish you didn't, do things you promised you wouldn't do again. And in those moments, something inside you whispers, "That's it, you've gone too far this time." So you pull away. You stop praying. You avoid anything spiritual. You create distance, not because you don't care, but because you feel unworthy. And yet, days pass, maybe longer, and somehow, you find yourself coming back, not confidently, not proudly, but quietly. A small prayer, a single thought, a simple, honest moment. "God, I need you." And here's what's powerful about that. You didn't have to come back. No one forced you. No one reminded you. But something inside you wouldn't let you stay away forever. That pull, that return, it's not weakness, it's evidence. Because people with dead faith don't come back. They walk away, and they stay gone. But real faith, even when it stumbles, even when it struggles, it returns again and again, not because it's strong, but because it's real. And here's the truth most people never understand. God is not surprised by your failures. He's watching what you do after them. Do you run further away? Or do you turn back? So if you've ever felt that cycle, falling, struggling, but still returning, don't let shame define you, because that return might be the clearest sign yet that your faith is still alive. Number 4, the fourth sign your faith may be real. You're starting to lose interest in things that once controlled you. Not all at once, not dramatically, not in a way people immediately notice, but slowly, something begins to change. Things that once excited you don't hit the same anymore. Habits that used to feel normal start to feel heavy. Conversations you once enjoyed now leave you feeling empty. And it confuses you, because part of you still wants those things, but another part of you doesn't. It's like a quiet internal conflict. Two versions of yourself, pulling in opposite directions, and you don't fully understand why. Here's what's really happening. Your desires are shifting, not because you forced it, not because someone told you to change, but because something deeper inside you is being rewired. And that process is uncomfortable, because growth rarely feels like peace at first. It feels like tension. It feels like losing something before you understand what you're gaining. That's why many people mistake this moment. They think, maybe I'm just lost, maybe I'm confused. But what if you're not losing yourself? You're outgrowing who you used to be. Because when faith is real, it doesn't just change what you believe, it changes what you desire. Slowly, quietly, powerfully. So if you've noticed that shift, that subtle disconnect from things that once had a hold on you, don't rush to fill that gap. Don't run back just to feel familiar again. Sit in it, because that space, that uncomfortable in between, might be the place where your faith is growing the most. Number 5, the final sign your faith may be real. Deep down, you genuinely want God, not just what He can give you. At first, most people come to God because they need something: help, protection, answers, relief from pain. And there's nothing wrong with that. But over time, something begins to shift. Your prayers start to change. Less about, fix this, and more about, change me. Less about, give me what I want, and more about, help me want what is right. And sometimes, you don't even know what to ask for anymore. You just want Him, His presence, His peace, His direction. Even when life isn't perfect, even when prayers aren't answered the way you hoped, there's still something inside you saying, God, I don't want to lose you. And that right there is one of the clearest signs of real faith, because fake faith is always centered on results. What do I get? What changes? What benefits me? But real faith stays, even when it doesn't understand, even when it doesn't feel anything, even when it costs something. It stays, not because it has all the answers, but because it has found something it cannot replace. And here's the powerful truth. When you reach that point, faith is no longer just something you practice. It becomes part of who you are. Number 6, the sign most people miss. You're no longer comfortable living a double life. There was a time when it was easy to separate things. One version of you in public, another version in private. One way of speaking around others, another when no one was there. And for a while, it didn't bother you. You could switch back and forth without thinking twice. But now, something feels wrong. Not exposed, not judged, just unsettled. Like the gap between those two versions of you is becoming impossible to ignore. You notice it more, you feel it deeper, and the hardest part is, you can't fully enjoy either side anymore. Because when you drift too far one way, something inside pulls you back. And when you try to ignore that pull, the tension only grows stronger. Here's why. Real faith doesn't stay comfortable in contradiction. It won't let you live divided forever. Not because God is trying to trap you, but because He's calling you into wholeness, into alignment, into a life where who you are in the dark matches who you are in the light. And that process, it's uncomfortable because it forces you to face things you used to avoid, habits, thought patterns, hidden compromises. But here's the truth. That discomfort is not condemnation. It's invitation. An invitation to stop performing and start becoming. So if you felt that tension, that quiet resistance to living two lives, don't numb it. Don't ignore it. Because that may be the clearest sign yet that your faith is not just something you believe. It's something that's trying to transform you. Number 7, the final sign that changes everything. You are starting to care more about truth than comfort. There was a time when you avoided certain thoughts, certain questions, certain truths, because they were uncomfortable. It was easier to stay distracted, to stay entertained, to stay in what felt safe. But now, something has shifted. You don't run from truth anymore. Even when it challenges you, even when it exposes you, even when it forces you to change, you lean in, slowly, carefully, but intentionally. And sometimes it costs you. It costs you old habits, old mindsets, even certain relationships. Because not everyone wants truth. Many people prefer comfort, familiarity, control. But when your faith is real, you begin to realize something powerful. Comfort can lie. Feelings can mislead. But truth is what sets you free. Even when it hurts at first. Even when it breaks parts of you that were never meant to stay. And here's the turning point. When you reach this stage, your life is no longer about what feels good in the moment. It becomes about what is right in the long run. And that changes everything. Because now, you're not just following God, When it's easy, you're choosing Him. Even when it's hard, even when it doesn't make sense, even when no one else understands. Fire ket kuoi kut man, du noi zem plus tang comment. So here's the question. Not for the world, not for anyone else, but for you. Right now, is your faith real? Not perfect, not polished, but real. Because one day, that question won't be optional anymore. And when that moment comes, it won't matter what you said. It will matter what was true. So don't wait. Don't delay. If something in you is waking up, respond to it right now. Take a second and write this in the comments. Lord, I choose truth, because in the end, the difference between being comfortable and being transformed is the choice you make when the truth finds you. Final ending. So now you've seen the signs, not from the outside, but from within. And maybe something in you feels different, a little more aware, a little more awake. But here's the truth. Awareness alone is not enough, because there is always a moment where knowing turns into choosing. And that moment is right now, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because the most dangerous thing is not having weak faith. It's ignoring the moment when your faith is trying to grow. So don't scroll past this. Don't treat this like just another video. If something in you is stirring, that's not an accident. That's a call. A quiet one, but a real one. So before you leave, pause, just for a second, and be honest with God. No performance, no perfect words, just you and Him. Then, if you're ready, write this in the comments. Lord, keep my faith real, because at the end of everything, when the noise fades, when the distractions are gone, only one thing will matter. Not how strong your faith looked, but whether it was real.